This man was witness to history in the Big 12 last week. We talked about it on In the Paint. Unfortunately, Texas A&M was on the wrong end. And again, this week, the Aggies on the wrong end of Big 12 history as well. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, Bill Raftery. Glad to be with you in the Paint on CBSSports.com. And you saw Texas A&M lose to Texas Tech last week. Bobby Knight's 900th victory. Wednesday night.
Wow.
5 overtimes in the Big 12 against Baylor. And we've talked about the Bears before on the show. We'll get into them a little bit again here today. But 5 over. Have you ever seen anything like that? Heard of anything like that?
The Nets years ago, we had a 4 overtime, which really ruined dinner for me. It was very difficult. But Curtis Charles, 11 points in the last overtime. Yep. It's a great story for Scott. He took over a program that was rock bottom, and the family history. The Drews are a great basketball family, and he thought this job he could bring it up from the depths, and he certainly has. This is a great win against A&M, who's a terrific team and will be a factor come the end of the year.
They certainly have. Aggies, though, have lost 3 straight, so they have a tough stretch to try and overcome. But let's just take a look at the notes here from this game on Wednesday night. 5 overtimes, longest game in Big 12 history. They played more than 60 minutes of basketball. 65 minutes, that's 3 halves and an extra 5 minutes. Right. Teams went 11 from 57 from beyond the arc.
The announcers get paid extra, too.
They do.
Right?
They do. You told me that was in your contract, but you weren't at the game. And then how about Baylor with its best start since 45-46?
Well, it was Henry Dugat, 25-game losing streak against Nebraska. He ends up making a runner to win it. Aaron Bruce is a kid in Aussie who runs the show, really a talented backcourt kid. So Lace Darius, done. I had to work hard on that one. They've got players. I mean, it just takes a while. And this is just a terrific story because the impact nationally of the demise of that program, everybody knew about it. And he has just taken it from the ashes, so to speak, Scott Drew.
And let's not forget, a couple years ago, Baylor wasn't even allowed to play anything outside of the Big 12 games, but that's where they are right now. They're in the AP. So this brings us to another point. But what is the best team story at this point? Is it Baylor and what they've done, or is it what Keno Davis has done following his father at Drake? Because they're having their best year. They're off to their best start ever.
What do you think?
I think it's Drake.
I'm with you.
You think it's Drake?
Because nepotism is alive. Keno was the assistant to his dad, Tom, and he's just done a great job. Josh Young's a terrific scorer for this team. But the Corvers were present in that big game against Creighton, and Clayton had a good, solid game. I think Kyle was in attendance, too. It's just amazing that this youngster could come along. I remember him as a boy, youngster at Iowa, cheering for the Hawkeyes, and never thinking he would amount to, at least I thought he would be smart enough to be around basketball, not to go with the coaching. But that to me is early 70s. I think they were a good basketball team, and now they're a national factor.
They have a chance to make the tournament for the first time since 1971. That's
wow.
Drake, of course.
That is the early 70s.
That is, you're right on that. Let's move ahead to the Big East here. And Bill, you spent a lot of time with Seton Hall, and it was 8 teams then. Now it's 16 for the past couple of years. And Mike Tranghese talks about you could wake up one morning and you're in 4th, and you wake up the next morning and you're in 12th. When you look at the standings, team that's at 2, well, Georgetown's at the top, so we'll ignore them for a sec. But Pittsburgh's in 2nd, and then all of a sudden you go down to Villanova. They're in 11th. From top to bottom, even Rutgers beat Villanova on Wednesday. St. John's played Pitt. They didn't beat them, but they for the first half played them tough. I mean, there is no easy game in the Big East. Even Cincinnati, who was terrible during the non-conference schedule, up until loss to UConn on Wednesday, was perfect at home.
Well, they got one great little player, too. Deontay Vaughn's an outstanding player. It's a nightmare. I mean, there's no relaxing moment. You think of Rutgers shooting 50% against Villanova. They're a better team when they make shots. Everybody is. They've got good perimeter people, Rutgers. So they're not easy. That building is one of those places that are tough to go in and play your best. It's intimidating. But it's so difficult to prepare. I heard Louis Conaseca on one of your Medi shows, just talking about they had a book on everybody. And now the book is a little larger. There are volumes, yeah. And the coaching we know, high caliber. I think 6 guys have been to the Final Four. The talent level is pretty even. If you don't come to play that night, you're going to lose. And I think that's what's transpired thus far.
And it happened this weekend with Louisville losing to Seton Hall, in which Bobby Gonzalez said is maybe the most monumental win for his program. And that's saying a lot since Seton Hall has been to a national championship game back in 1989. Folks, there's plenty more in the paint. On the other side, it's In the Paint Part 2 on your browser. We're going to talk about Maryland and the victory they had against North Carolina. Can they repeat that against Duke this weekend? We'll see what Bill.
Hey, tell Gonzo we beat the Sisters of the Poor. That was a big game.
It was big, monumental at Seton Hall when you were there. Stay tuned, folks. Jason Horowitz, Bill Raftery. Take care.